Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. I feel like every show now I have to start off with some kind of caveat of how I'm going to let you down. It's not the draft. Don't worry about that, at least not yet. I know last week I was telling you I was trying to keep up because I wasn't feeling well and whatnot. I'm kind of going through it again. It's not like a flu or sickness thing. It's a medicine thing, so this might be kind of a recurring situation. I don't know how this goes, but I had to kind of fight myself to get down here because I'm expecting it to get worse. And I'm like, if I don't do it today, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So, if I miss something, I apologize. And I feel even worse about it because I am a classic overpromise, underdeliverer, and I've got so much on my plate because of my own faults. I got to do the free agency thing, which I did reach out to the free agents, the GMs, excuse me. We're doing our free agency game. We got it all updated. If you didn't get my email or whatever, there's now another page that shows year one impact, and then it subtracts that down from the total cap space that you had to kind of show how much room you have left and whatnot. But I got to go back through and do another full email of, okay, I'm willing to accept these. Does anybody want to counter or whatever? I'm just telling you it might take me a little bit because I'm on the leading edge of, I think, a few days of misery here. I also got those highlight videos that I'm very excited to make, just in general wanting to watch tape. There's so many guys that I saw the first time around, like edge rushers, Umunmalin, whose name I learned yesterday how to say it, and I already forgot it, so I'll just go back to Umunmalin. It's kind of like Alec Aomanor. That's one of those names that evolved. I know I had it right at first, and at some point I started saying it wrong, and I think it's Alec Aomanor. I don't know. Actually, that's something I want to do. That'll maybe be a tomorrow thing. We're going to do a pronunciation guide, but a lot of stuff I have to do. I've also been laying in bed thinking about, you should probably crank out some gear for the draft if anybody actually is interested. Figure since I got shamed for it for several weeks because everybody was just dying to buy all of it, well, now's your chance. But of course, again, just putting more on my plate that, may or may not get done. Today, we're just going to do but it's a relatively big undertaking. We're going to do a first-round mock draft. It takes as long as it takes, and we're going to get out of here. We have 7 calls, but I don't think I'm going to do Packernet After Dark. Number 1, it's already late. Number 2, 7 is kind of iffy as far as is that going to be long enough. And then 3, obviously, I'm just really... Plus, these drafts, I don't know why they kind of take it out of you. They just kind of... Seems like it's going to be real easy. Just, I pick this guy, I pick this guy, I pick this guy. But 32 teams takes longer than you think every time. Just real quick, myself getting caught up on news. Apparently, Case Keenum is a Chicago Bear, which is funny. 1 year, $3 million contract. Travis Hunter apparently will be running routes at his pro day. When was that like on Tuesday or something I said? That was coming up, and I think it was the last one. It was going to be televised. See if I remember that. Probably not. And Trey Lance is going to get another shot. I laughed at him because he was now in the Canadian Football League, but it looks like the Chargers are going to take a shot at him. So he's going to get a 1 year, $6.2 million contract. I'm torn on whether I'm happy for him or not. I guess I am. I mean, one way or another, you earned your opportunities to get there. If only that means you earned it by being just so unbelievably impressive athletically and what you did in college. Because there is nothing that he did in the NFL worthy of even a minimum wage. And I'll tell you what, I'm probably doing it again with the overpromise, underdeliver thing, but I'm tempted, if we can go rapid fire, because we've been through this 1,000 times, and I think some of it's going to be pretty standard, we'll fly through, see if we can fly through a second round. So let's give it a shot here. So Tennessee Titans, pick number 1, they are going to take Cameron Ward. That has kind of always made the most sense. There are obviously scenarios that doesn't happen, but for now, that seems to be the direction. The Browns, if that does happen, I don't, the rumor is they're not going to trade up, and presumably Cam Ward's going number 1 pretty much no matter what, which means the Browns will take Abdul Carter number 2. The Giants, I'm a little... I know a lot of people are like, oh, draft starts at 5 or something, but I think the latest thing I heard, for some reason it's not in my notes, but the Giants, although they secured a quarterback, are going to be looking to draft a quarterback. That doesn't necessarily mean the top option. Could be later in the draft, whatever, but it feels very similar to the Titans, where it's like, this is a unbelievably desperate need, and you have Shedeur Sanders here. Maybe he's not good enough. I don't know. But I'm just going to go with the very obvious pick here. Patriots, I'm going to, I guess it's kind of caught on. I see it's a suggestion here. I was going to say it's a little uncharacteristic, but I haven't been paying attention. I was going to say I'm going to go with Armand Membeau, but it looks like that's already a popular pick. They've said they need offensive and defensive line. They said that they have spent a ton of time on Membeau and that he's a Vrabel type of guy, so makes a lot of sense. At 5 for the Jaguars, could go in plenty of different directions, but I'm going to go with Mason Graham, the defensive tackle. The Raiders, I'm really thinking, and I don't know, maybe it's a smokescreen or something. I'm really starting to think Ashton Jeanty is the direction. Obviously, there's a ton of talk about trade up for quarterback, trade up for quarterback, trade up for quarterback, but I don't know that anybody's willing to do that. We've heard a ton about Jeanty already, but you figure, well, if Travis Hunter's there or whatever, I don't know that you do that, and that's probably true. I think that's probably the point. I've been saying in the back of my head, Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders is going to be pretty locked in, but I don't know if I can do that with Travis Hunter sitting here. I think the latest thing I saw was the Raiders, I don't know if it was the owner or GM's kid or coach's kid or something, said something to the effect of, like, I'm going to disown you if you don't draft Ashton Jeanty or whatever, but whatever. I don't know. I can't see Hunter going anymore. Unfortunately, that means the Bears probably get him, but whatever. For the Jets, I got a note here. Everything I've heard points to the Jets being infatuated with Warren to the point that they're setting up multiple meetings at tight end, so I'm going to be doing that at 7. Seems early to me, but who cares? I'm not them. At 8, got a couple different notes. All of them, basically, it's going to be defense, which the top options are Jeanty, offensive tackle Will Campbell, wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan. But pick will be defense. Could come down to Walker, Mykel Williams, or Will Johnson. Another note says Mykel Williams and Shamar Stewart are in play for the Panthers. Mykel Williams was brought up twice. Seems like a reach based on the consensus board, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And we're going to have the Carolina Panthers draft Mykel Williams. Saints, I don't have a ton for, at least nothing relevant to where we're currently at. I think they could go probably in a lot of directions. I'm a little torn because, Tetairoa McMillan feels like a good pick, but at the same time, there just is this constant push of, I don't know if he's good enough to be top 10 kind of a thing. Then again, I don't know too many people that feel like great picks that are just jump off the page automatic first-round picks anyways. You could argue Will Johnson, but he's got a similar amount of questions. Shamar Stewart has probably more. So I am just going to take Tetairoa McMillan, unfortunately. Sorry, Packer fans. And then for the Bears, they will be taking Ashton Jeanty. Tackle is an option, but we're just going to keep on rolling. I'm just going to have them take the top option available in Will Campbell, the offensive tackle. Dallas is sad to have their 2 guys off the board here, the running back and wide receiver. I'm thinking edge is probably their next biggest need, and with Jalen Walker kind of fitting the prototype of Micah Parsons, probably just go in that direction. For the Dolphins, I've got a couple different things here in terms of what they're looking for, but I have one note that says their top target is offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., who is available, so we're going to go Kelvin Banks for Miami. Outside perception for the Colts is that they go safety or tight end round 1. Attempted to trade up for Brock Bowers. So Colson Loveland is here. Otherwise, Malachi Starks. They're kind of 1-2 right next to each other. I'm just going to stick with Old Faithful here and have them taking Colston Loveland. As for the Falcons, I usually lean edge, but there's a ton of talk about them really liking Jihad Campbell. And one of the other interesting things is there's talk about them being interested in trading back, which to me maybe means that 15 might be early for Jihad Campbell. Either way, it's kind of pointing in that direction. Could take Shamar Stewart, certainly, or Mike Green or something, but I'm gonna go with Jihad Campbell. Cardinals are expected to go trenches or corner. Will Campbell is still here at 16, so he's going to officially come off the board. Bengals, we'll just go with the top guy, Shamar Stewart, with the issues they've been having trying to re-sign their edge guy. Kind of makes sense. Obviously, offensive line makes sense, but there's just nobody here. They're all off the board, so that's what we're going to do. Seahawks do like Kelvin Banks, but he is off the board. Similar to the last situation, there's not a lot of great offensive tackle options or interior guys unless we really want to reach. This feels like a phenomenal trade back. The top needs interior offensive line, offensive tackle, tight end, quarterback. None of those are sitting here. I hate to take a tackle after I just said that the Bengals aren't going to take a tackle, but I guess what I'll do is I'll take Kenneth Grant, the top-ranked defensive tackle available on our board. Buccaneers have been focusing on defense throughout free agency and the draft. They're looking primarily at edge and linebacker. The only interesting linebacker is gone. The one predominant edge is still available, and that is Mike Green, so he's going to go here. Broncos interested in tight end, but they're gone. Although, when we went through tight end, there are several people who think there are other first-round eligible tight ends, but not for us today. Tell you what I'll do, and I thought I was going to be interesting, and I find somebody I want, and it says suggestion, so apparently this is already popular. They're looking for tight end. Apparently Sean Payton is looking for a person to play the joker position, which is primarily a tight end or running back, likely a first-round target. Omarion Hampton is certainly an option here, and so that's the direction we're going to go for them. For the Steelers, I don't have a ton of notes, but the only thing I really had is that they wanted Justin Fields back, and now that he's gone, quarterback is a big need. Obviously, Rodgers is the question, and we assume that he's going to sign there, so I'm not going to go in that direction. But if they get to the draft and there is no signing of Aaron Rodgers, which is at this point highly likely, you have to wonder if they would be at least willing to consider somebody like Jackson Dart. Obviously, that may be shooting yourself in the foot in terms of your possibility of getting Rodgers. But maybe that's just a conversation you have with him. I know you want to drag your feet and all that stuff, but we're in a position now where we have to do so. Skylar Thompson is their only quarterback on the roster going into the draft. So we're not going to do that today, but it's absolutely worth keeping an eye on that. But I'm going to go with the top available that it says is a suggestion. I'm not going to go with one of the other needs that I believe that is going to be pretty important for them to address, that I think that there's pretty decent value with, is defensive line. And so I'm going to take the top defensive tackle here available, and that is Derek Harmon. For the LA Chargers, it's funny. I don't even know where this note is from, but talking about the culture that they're trying to cultivate there with Harbaugh is they're looking for guys that love football, guys that fit the Chargers culture as a top priority, looking for players whose energy matches Jim Harbaugh's infectious enthusiasm. Harbaugh's focusing on football guys who are genuine, relying on tape, coaching reports, and training habits. The one guy that immediately stands out, not that I know a lot of these guys, we've heard a couple, but I can't really remember all of them. I know Walter Nolan, for example, is on the opposite end of that spectrum. A few other guys are as well, where there might be some concerns there. But one guy I know that passed with flying colors, that I think, whether it's a top need or a secondary need, I don't know, but would make a lot of sense, is Jahdae Barron. I think Jahdae Barron fits exactly what it is that they're talking about here. So with the Packers pick coming up, why don't we take a break, and we'll come back, go through that, and we'll see how she goes. We'll be right back. So right now, the top picks: Matthew Golden, who I'm certainly warming to; Malachi Starks, the safety; Emanwari, the safety; James Pierce, the edge; Simmons, the tackle; Booker, the guard; Walter Nolan, the tackle; Zabel, interior guy; Zirawaku, the edge guy; Jackson Dart, Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden. Both of those guys have fallen out of the first round, which is pretty wild. Maxwell Hairston, Josh Connerly. We could certainly keep going because I think other guys are still in range. Scorton, who's now down to 37. Who is all moving up that's pushing everybody down here? Like everybody that was mid to back of the first is now out of the first round. But Donovan Jackson, Siobhan Revel, Azaria Thomas, Trey Amos, Landon Jackson, Benjamin Morrison. I would say they're all within striking range. But I tell you what, man, I'm just going to do the thing. I think a lot of the edge guys did get picked up. Several of the defensive tackles outside of Nolan got picked up. Gutekunst obviously mentioned that there isn't that sort of desperation to find somebody in the draft or whatever, so there's no real reason to believe that it's going to be, a reach or anything like that. Unless it is the clear top option, they probably will go in a different direction, assuming there's, better options of need and value. We addressed corner. We addressed offensive line. Whether you like the way it was addressed or not, it was addressed. The very obvious thing here, to me, is to break the streak and draft Matthew Golden out of Texas. Again, I have plenty of reasons, for almost everybody, plenty of reasons to not like him as the prospect, or not even not like, but sort of say I don't know if it's the right fit or if it's going to work or if it's what the Packers like. And then a bunch that make me go, man, oh man, I wonder. And one of the more obvious things is he has 4.29 speed, but has number one potential. So it's not like, well, he's just this big, fast speed guy that is only being drafted to replace Christian Watson. We're kind of killing two birds with one stone by making sure we still have speed on the offense, and a lot of it, for Matt LaFleur, while also having somebody with enough talent to potentially be a top 32 wide receiver, which is, one way to characterize what a number one wide receiver is. Hopefully it could be better than that, top 20, whatever. All right, next up we got the Vikings. I'm going to have them, not going to be super happy about it, but interior offensive line makes sense, but I feel like they've tried that. I don't know. Not that you just can't have to stop doing it, but, same with corner. It's a big need, but how many times are we going to do that? The other thing that I constantly complain about the Vikings is they keep going out and getting this position with 30-year-old guys in free agency, et cetera, et cetera. Defensive tackles. How about we draft Walter Nolan? How about we start the process of getting some talented youth on the defensive line, especially interior? They drafted the edge rusher last year, but we got to start building that up. Texans, we're going to target O-line. It's a big need. We're just going to take Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. For the Rams, who I think are starting to put together a pretty decent group here, I think I was about to do something. I'm going to change my mind because the top two available guys are safeties. DB, I think in general. Corner is what I wanted. I was going to have them take Maxwell Hairston. But they don't have super fantastic safeties. They certainly don't have two of them, even if they did have one of them, which I don't know that they do. So we're going to just get to take the top guy available, which is Malachi Starks. For the Ravens, pretty straightforward from where I'm sitting. I mean, edge is a pretty big need, but number one quarterback in football last year was Jackson. Number one running back was Henry, according to PFF grades. The offensive line is starting to deteriorate a little bit. Ronnie Stanley is 31 years old, hasn't really been a premier guy for a little bit of a while. We got Tyler Linderbaum, who's solid on the inside, but aside from Rosengard, we need help, especially on the interior, so we're going to go with Tyler Booker, get some beef back. Lions, I think, are very interested in edge rush. I think they have been. Free agency was obviously not great, so you turn to the draft. James Pierce is sitting right here, so we're going to take James Pierce. Washington, I have no idea how they had as much success as they had. Having the number 5 graded quarterback is certainly not going to hurt, but their team is not good here. And the top player is a safety, which would make sense, but man, there are some premier positions we need to fix. Edge would be big. Defensive tackle is massive. Corner is a need. Linebacker next to Wagner, who's obviously not going to be playing forever. Offensive line, we got wide receivers. Offensive line is probably the most important, not because of it being a need necessarily as much as it's just for the sake of the quarterback. So we're going to take Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle. The only real solid offensive tackle we have is 31-year-old Laramie Tunsil. So we gotta make sure that that's sustained for a long time. Buffalo Bills, tell you what, it's stupid, but it's a note. They had dinner with Landon Jackson. Done. Landon Jackson to the Buffalo Bills. How about them apples? Chiefs' primary focus is offensive line. I think the left side is the main focus, with the left guard being the biggest liability right now with Sua Mataia Kingsley, second-round pick, so maybe he gets better, but he was just horrific. So we're going to draft Gray Zabel and trust that he'll be able to play somewhere. We'll get our best 5 out there, but that's the main focus. And then finally, for the first round, the Philadelphia Eagles. Kind of a luxury pick, but you can do that when you're built like they are. We're going to go interior offensive lineman Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State. I tell you what, I'm going to pivot a little bit here. I don't want to completely deprive you of your second round, but I don't know if I'm going to super make it. Let's just focus on the Green Bay Packers pick in the second round. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate some of this to get to our next pick. And so, let's go through. So we got our receiver. Let's see. Quarterback, tight end, defensive tackles. What do we got? We got Darius Alexander. It's a really weird one after hearing Bob McGinn basically not even put him on the list until very late, just having no interest in him apparently. A lot of bigger guys, as we talked about. Cornerback position. A lot of the old boys are gone. Jacob Parrish, Dorian Strong, Denzel Burke are the next ones up. Edge rushers, JT Tuamaloau. Oh, they're tough. That's freaking easy. My man Princely Human Malin, which, again, we'll maybe do it tomorrow, the pronunciation guide. I am a big fan of his. There's a couple guys I really liked. He was one of the big ones. He's obviously not super popular, being kind of back of the second round, but I don't really care. That's my dude all day long. Matthew Golden and Princely Hugh something are going to be the Packers picks. All right, sorry to cut it short, but I gotta be done here. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you hopefully tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.